Hey, Lindsay, how's it going?
It's going great, Michelle. How's everything with you?
Good. Yeah, everything's good. I feel like this is a great time of year in a way. It's early December.
Yeah.
Things are cold, but not necessarily too cold. There's
Mhm.
it's a great time of year. Also, the holidays coming up, so in a way, it's
Yeah.
just a great time of year.
It's a magical time of year between Christmas and New Year's. Not a lot of work gets done at work, but because we're going to holiday parties, we're decorating our homes for the holidays. It's kind of magical, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely. So, guys, I don't know if you heard we were using this expression in a way, and we are going to answer a listener question. Great question about. I don't even know if you would call it an expression. It's just kind of a I don't know.
It's just a pattern, like a saying,
It's
something
just
we
in there. It's
say.
just
Yeah. Oh my
right.
gosh.
It's just in there. So yeah, that's what we are gonna get to today. So I'm excited. But before we read the question, guys, we've been doing something I'm really having fun with this because it's another way to interact with our amazing listeners, Lindsay. So
Yes.
on Spotify, if you are listening on Spotify, we have these great key polls that we are doing. And so we've been doing the poll, asking a question, and letting you guys actually respond through the Spotify app.
Love it.
And
Yes.
then we read the results. So we've done things like, do you eat dessert every day? Lots of different kinds of things. So,
Yep.
but I'm not going to tell you what the poll is yet for today. Listen till the end. On Spotify, you can get this poll, and at the end, we'll reveal what it is, and then you can have your voice heard. You will respond to the poll, and then in a future episode, you can hear the results. It gives us kind of it's a way to keep our what is it? Our finger on the pulse of
Yeah, just a
our
way to
listeners.
and just to get to know you guys. We wanna know about your life, your world, your opinions on things,
Yeah,
right?
it's just
So,
fun.
yeah, just get ready to participate. Spotify also has a way now where you can also ask your question. For every single episode, there's an opportunity for you to actually ask us a question, and we go in there every week and we grab those questions. So we will read your question. But today's question, Michelle, did not come from Spotify. It was just a nice little email that we got from a listener. We
Oh,
love
I
that
think it's from
too.
Apple Podcasts, actually.
Oh, you're right. It's from Apple Podcasts. This was
Yeah.
a listener in the app. You can get the
Mhm.
app at allearsenglish.com/app. And let's read the question. Would you like to read the question today, Michelle? Would you help
Sure.
us out here? Okay.
I
All right.
would love to. Okay, here we go. Question. Hello. I'm Shiori, she, her, originally from Japan, but I currently live in New York. Okay, so this is my neighbor.
Cool.
I've listened to your podcast since before I moved to New York, and it's super helpful to improve my English skills. I recommend this podcast to all my Japanese friends around me, and everyone loves it. That's so
Oh, we love
great. Thank
that. That's
you.
so
Thank you so
wonderful.
much.
Oh, we love that.
Um, yeah. So she says, I have a question about using the idiom in a way. I've heard it many times within your conversations. For example, and I love that she already has an actual example here from
Mm.
the episode 2052. It says, this is kind of like very in fashion in a way because of this moment we're living in the world. Okay, so that's how it was used. It says I looked up it looked us up in several it sounds like me because I said like. Sounds like me. I don't know for sure,
Our
but
listeners know
um
best.
yeah, I looked up this up in several dictionaries, but I can't seem to get the nuances of these words. Could you please explain how and when to put this in your sentences naturally? Thank you in advance. Love you, Shiori from the United States. We love you too.
Yeah, we love you, Sherry. This is amazing. I love that our listeners are based all over the world. It's really cool when we hear from our listeners in the US who are clearly using English every single day and they're taking what they're learning here, putting it right into action. It's so
Yeah.
inspiring. And for connection, I hope they're connecting. That's what we want for you guys is connection.
Absolutely. So, guys, if you want to hear that example, you could go ahead and listen to episode 2052. But also, we have a great episode recently was 2091 was Trust Your Brain for Better Language Learning with Steve Kaufman. So definitely check out that one if you haven't
Yeah.
already.
Yeah, Steve Kaufman is a polyglot. Now, I can't remember how many languages he's learned, but I think it's more than 10. You'll know on that episode if you do listen, guys. So go
Wow.
back, scroll back in your list and listen to that episode, because that is a great way to learn about how to learn, is by listening to polyglots and what they do, because
Yeah.
obviously it's working what they're doing. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, incredible. I That is incredible to me. So,
Yeah.
let's look at that example she already gave from the show. So it says, "This is" I can't even say it just 'cause it's the like. "This
Yeah.
is kind of" I'm gonna say, "This is kind of very in fashion in a way because of this moment we're living in the world." So I don't know exactly what we're talking about, but we can still take a lot from "in a way."
Yeah.
Lindsay,
Yeah. That's great.
what does that mean to you?
Right. So I don't see this as a filler so much. I see this as a useful phrase, right?
Mhm.
It means, in a sense,
Mhm,
it's
mhm,
very native and natural. And
mhm,
maybe you're not going to use it in a job interview, a presentation, but in everyday life, 90% of the time, you are going to use it, because it just
mhm.
means in one sense. Okay.
Right, and she already did say that she's heard it many times on the show, so
Yeah.
this is, that's what prompted her to ask the question. You
Yeah.
hear something enough and, it's
Yeah.
important. You realize that it is an important one.
True, true. So, all right, Michelle, let's get into it a bit deeper. What
Mm.
does the dictionary have to say? We
Yeah,
like to
so
go to the
I was
dictionary.
able to find a dictionary definition, and, and there were multiple definitions, but the one I wanna focus on most is "in some respects." So this
Okay,
is the one that
nice.
I felt like was closest to how it's used. So we're gonna really
Mm.
focus on this a little bit today, although there are other ways to use it. So, this example, was from the show, it's basically saying something, somehow this is very in fashion.
Yeah.
But let's do some more examples. What's another one, Lindsay?
Okay. She looks like her mother in a way, but mostly she resembles her father. So, what we're saying here is there's part of her. There's one, in one sense, she looks like her mother, maybe her
Mhm.
nose, but maybe her
Mhm.
eyes resemble her father, something like that.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, exactly. So this is a good way to use it. Lindsay, who do you look like?
I have that exact same situation. I look like my mom. I'm told I look like my mom, but that I have my dad's eyes. So, yeah, we're
Mm.
always just
Yeah.
a mishmash of every both our parents and sometimes our grandparents, right? It's really
Yeah.
interesting. I think my niece actually looks more like my dad or grandfather than
Really?
either of her parents. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
pretty funny.
Yeah. I am a replica of my mother.
Oh, I've never seen your mom. That's so
I'll have to
funny.
send you a picture. Yeah, everyone right away. It's always, "Oh, you guys are
Really?
twins," and yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Like, I've had one person tell me I look like my dad. I think
okay.
as time goes on, I can see my dad a little bit more, than I
Yeah.
used to, but I don't know. Here's the other thing is my brother, everybody says he looks exactly like your dad, but I don't see it. It's always hard when you're in the family to
Yeah,
see it.
it is hard. I've heard the same thing about my brother looking like my dad too, and I don't see that as much.
Yeah,
I don't
because
know.
'cause you're
It's
too
weird.
close in it. Like,
Right.
I know I look that I will say, I know I look like my mom because everybody tells me. I don't feel it as much, but
Yeah.
there are times when I see, like, when I see a picture of my mom from
Yeah.
when she was younger, and I think it's me.
Oh my gosh. It's
So,
that that's
just
weird when that happens, right?
quickly, if I'm quickly glancing. So,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Yeah, when I was just at home with my parents, we were cleaning up some photo albums, and I was looking through my dad's childhood photos, and I saw a photo of my aunt, his sister, from
Mhm.
like, I don't know, 1965. And I looked at it, I was like, that
Mm.
is exactly what I looked like as a teenager. It was like a spitting image. Spitting image. Good
Mm.
bonus for today,
I
since we're
think this
talking
is
about
we've gotta do a bonus on, like, a whole
a
episode
whole episode. Yeah.
about this, like, saying that you
Spitting
just look
image.
exactly like someone.
Yeah, that'd be a great one, but we'll come back to it. But yeah, so
Yeah,
it's in a way, we tend to look like both our parents in a way, but one is usually more prominent, right? And it can change throughout our lives too.
right, right. So, in a way, that means that, like, there's a quality, like, so she
Mhm.
looks like her mother in a way, but she mostly resembles her father. So, using "in a way," it kind of made that first, um, part of the sentence a little weaker, I think. Like, she
Yeah,
looks at like her mother
in a
somehow,
way,
but right?
but yes, I would say that. Yeah, she looks like her
Yeah.
in a way. I love the expression "in some respects." I think
Yeah.
that is a way you could take this and put it into the business world, but maybe we'll talk about it a little bit later.
Mm.
Let's keep going here, Michelle. What's next?
Okay, so let's just say if you didn't say in a way,
Mhm.
like, let's just took a look at the sentence without it. So she looks like her mother, but she mostly resembles her father instead of in a
Mhm.
way. So I don't know, does this feel different to
Mm.
you?
She looks like her mother, but she mostly well, it's kind of confusing, this
Yeah,
sentence.
right, because the first one is a little too strong, I think.
Yeah,
So
it's too strong. Because are you saying she actually looks more like her mother or more like her father? I'm
right,
not exactly sure. If you don't add
right,
a little qualifier there after she looks like her mother, in a way, but
right.
she
So
mostly looks like her father. Yeah, that's better.
yeah, so that's the thing is it's interesting, just these like 3 words that seem like kind of a nothing, they actually
They're
can
not. Yeah.
impact the meaning. They can help make something more clear.
Yeah, they're not fillers. It's not like the use of like, right? Sometimes like is just a
No,
filler. Although
no.
we have done an episode, we interviewed a linguist on how like is actually has clear usages. You guys can go back and find that one. I don't remember which episode it was. It was an interview Aubrey did with a
Mhm.
linguist. But anyways, getting off
So
track here.
let's no, that's okay. Another example could be, he was bored of his job in a way, but some of it was still exciting to him.
So in a sense,
Yeah.
he was bored of his job in a sense, in some respects. Maybe some parts of his job were boring, but some of it was still interesting, or most of it was still
Yeah.
interesting, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you don't need to use "in a way" just at the end of, like, a phrase. You can like, what's another way you could do it, Lindsay? You
You
could do it
could
at the
say
beginning.
yeah, you could say in a way, she was ready to leave, but it was still so hard to say goodbye. And I like how we are giving some space here. We're breaking up our sentences. In a way,
Mhm.
she was ready to leave,
Yes.
but it was
Yeah,
still
guys,
so
that's
hard
good.
to say goodbye. Yeah, nice,
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah. So it kind of takes the edge off, right? I mean, you could also say in some ways, if it's more than one way.
Yeah.
You could say in some ways she was ready to leave. That's fine
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah, take the edge off. So do you mean it kinda softens it? Like, it kind of reduces what you've just said, the prominence of what you've just said
Yeah.
a little
Well,
bit?
because if it just said if I just said she was ready to leave, but it was still so hard to say goodbye, I think
Mhm.
that sounds like, oh, she was, it just sounds a little bit stronger, and
Yeah.
that's fine too. But this kind of just like it softens it a little bit.
Yeah, I like it. So, there's a few other things we could say, and we've said a few of them, but we're gonna add a
Hmm.
couple new ones here, Michelle, like somehow. Somehow
Hmm.
would mean the same thing. Is that right?
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, like, I mean, not maybe not always, but in this example, he reminds me of my friend somehow. Like, you could say, I can't put my finger on it, like, he reminds me of
Mm.
my friend somehow. Or you could say, in a way, he reminds me of my friend.
We should do another episode on somehow. I find that really
Somehow.
interesting because I don't think it comes up much in textbooks for our listeners, but I think there's
Yeah.
a lot of ways somehow could be used. So, guys, hit follow right now so you get that episode somewhere in the future. In some respects, is another, right?
That we talked about, yeah,
Hmm.
so I feel
Hmm.
like, Lindsay, what you said, I feel this is a little bit more formal, maybe
Yeah.
better for the business world, but you could say it, in some respects, I think it's time to move on, but I still wanna keep my foot in the door.
Yeah. So that's true. So that's great. So that could be used it could be used in a job interview, a presentation, a meeting. This just elevates in a way to a more
Mm,
professional way of saying it.
yeah, 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 definitely. What else,
Yeah.
Lindsay?
In a sense. So she was really popular in a sense because of her ability to make others laugh.
Mhm.
Right. So maybe other aspects of her personality weren't what made her popular. It was just the fact, or maybe. So, what does this mean, Michelle? Explain what this means
Yeah,
a bit
yeah, yeah,
more.
yeah. Well, I think it could change depending on the context, but,
Yeah.
it's just kind of saying, like, one of the ways she was popular,
Yeah.
well, it's like
She
yeah,
was
this
a
one is
certain
a little
kind
bit of
of
a tricky
popular. Like
show, a certain
no, no,
kind
no.
yes.
So yeah. So okay, here's what I'm thinking. When I was in school, like high school, there were the cool kids who were like
Mhm.
traditional popular,
Yeah.
right? Like they had boyfriends and they dressed cool, all this stuff. Everyone
Uh-huh.
knew who the cool kids were, but then there
Yeah.
was also like some of my friends who were really popular, really well liked, but not cool kids because they were athletes and they did well in school and they were just good kids. Everyone liked them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that could be
Okay.
what it is. She was really popular in a sense, right? So maybe not traditional popular, but
Right.
just kind of niche popular, her own
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
popular.
Own kind of popular. I love it. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that explains it. So yeah, I mean, in general, I think that this shows that there's maybe more to the story. It opens the
Mhm.
door to potentially explain more, or it can be a little mysterious. But
Yep.
the idea is that I think it's a little less direct than just saying the whole statement, and it can change the meaning.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a pullback. It's like you say the thing, but then you're pulling back on it. You're, like, reducing what you've just said,
Right. So
like
it
this
may seem
neighborhood.
like a filler. Sorry, go ahead.
No, 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 go ahead, go ahead. It
I
may
was gonna
seem
say
like a
no, it
filler.
it it may seem like a filler, but it's actually so much more.
Yeah, like, for example, you say, "Oh, this neighborhood is really popular in a way, but the crime rates are really high, are still really high," for example. If we're talking about, like, a gentrifying neighborhood, right? So,
Right.
it's not mainstream popular, but it has a coolness to it, right?
Yeah, yes.
That's another example. And so now we're gonna
Love
get
it.
into some more examples in a role play in just a minute here, Michelle. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, let's make this super crystal clear for our listeners, Michelle.
Here
So,
we go.
what are we doing here in this role play situation?
Well, in this role play, I am moving to LA. I'm not really, but
Ooh,
we're friends
LA
talking about it.
lady. I like it. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
no,
All
no.
right, all right.
All right.
Cool, cool. Sunshine. So, are you excited?
In a way.
I really loved LA. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, I'm excited in some respect, but there's so much I will miss about New York.
I get it. LA is like New York in a sense.
No way.
Well, the entertainment aspect.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they remind me of each other somehow.
I'll let you know when I get there.
Yeah, I'm really trying for that, but it's not true. They're nothing like each other. These 2 cities, they couldn't be more different. And, the person that loves LA is the person that hates New York and vice versa. Generally, it's what
Mm,
I've found. Unless you're a super dynamic person and then, you just like everything.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, we use these. So let's go through it. So you said, "So are you excited?" And I said, "In a way." So I didn't like you can use it by itself like this. You're
Sure.
like, "Oh, it's like saying, yeah, like in a way, but what I'm not saying is there's a lot I'm not excited about."
I'm
So,
I'm glad we're highlighting this use of this in this role play because
mhm.
we didn't really talk about it as much
Yeah.
earlier, guys, but it's another way. You can say it in isolation, and
Yeah.
with combined with that tone of voice, I can see that there's some doubt, right?
Right. Yeah, in a way, right?
Mhm. Yep, yep, and
And
then I
yeah,
said, "Oh, I really loved LA. I think you'll like it." And then you
right.
said, "Yeah, I'm excited in some respects." So there's your other qualifier, the pullback, okay, pulling back a little bit. I'm excited in some respects. So,
Yeah, in
yeah,
some ways, like
maybe for
about
the
some things,
sunshine or
Right,
something, the
right,
weather.
maybe yeah, there are certain things I'm looking forward to,
Yeah. Like
yeah.
maybe you're looking forward to the fact that in LA every single day of the year it's exactly 73 degrees and sunny. Like it never changes. It's perfect.
Yeah, that's what I would look forward to that.
But then there are a lot of things you're maybe not so excited about, the traffic, the climate change and goes on and on and on. So all right, and then I
Yeah.
said, "I get it. LA is like New York in a sense," which I don't agree with.
I know, I was writing that and then thinking, "I don't know, well, let me see what I can do here." So,
Yeah,
yeah, in a
fun.
sense, in a way. And then, I basically call you out on it, and you're trying to convince me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't sound like I really believe you. I say, "That's true," and then you just say, "Yeah, they remind me of each other somehow."
Somehow, still not convinced, right? And you say,
Yeah,
"Well,
even you're trying,
just
but not
not
sure.
sure, not sure." Yeah, I mean, I could see both cities for what they are, and they have amazing things. Both
Mhm.
of them do, but personally, I'm more of a New York person. I think you might be too, Michelle.
Oh, I definitely am. I love New York, yeah.
Actually, I think we should change up the poll. I think we should
I
actually
was
have
thinking
our
the
poll.
same thing.
Michelle, we are so in sync here. All right, why don't
Yeah.
you go ahead and announce our poll for today? We want to know what you
Okay.
guys think. Go ahead. Go ahead. What is our poll?
Okay. I would say, I'm going to phrase it like this. Where
Yeah.
would you prefer to live?
Yes.
New York or LA?
Love that. This is going to be a really interesting sense because they couldn't be more different. New York City
Yeah.
is a walking culture. It's busy. It's a heavy like achiever career culture. What else is New York, Michelle? It's very condensed. Um,
Yeah.
High rises everywhere. What else would you say
Yeah.
to describe New York City?
Oh, it's just so diverse and,
Yeah,
it's just, gritty, but in a fun
gritty,
way, like yeah, I
urban,
love
very
it.
urban.
Yes.
And then LA, on the other hand, completely opposite side of the country, opposite coast,
Yeah.
is also extremely diverse, which is amazing. LA is the food is
Yeah.
amazing because it is so diverse. It's a much more suburban sprawl feeling. So instead of high
Right.
rises, you see more like houses with like AUDs, like additional units in the back, right?
Right.
That
Right.
kind of thing. It's sunny all the time. It's really a performance Hollywood culture, right? Everyone's there because they're in the industry, trying to get famous. That is Hollywood, right? That is
Yeah,
LA. And so, which
definitely.
we want to know, are
Which do
you a
you
New
prefer?
Yorker or an LA person? Like,
Yeah.
which do
Where
you
would you
prefer?
wanna live?
Where would you rather live? And I know that we have listeners in both cities, which is so exciting.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Michelle, what's our takeaway for today?
Oh my gosh. Well, this was a lot of fun. So, I mean, this is used to tell more of the story. We've talked about it as, how it may seem like a filler, but it actually isn't.
Yeah.
It really gives some information. We've talked about family, who we look like. We've talked about cities. It's just talking about in some respects.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to mm, it's a good way to show how you feel without necessarily saying everything.
Well, it's a great way. It's one of the most realistic things because life is nuanced. I mean, I rarely feel 100% one way or 100% the
Yeah,
other way, right, Michelle?
that's
Like,
true.
as human beings, we have nuance. We have mixed feelings. Have different things that pull us in different directions. So we must be able to communicate that we have mixed feelings about something. We're not 100%
Definitely.
sure about something, but we can use this as a way to show that, to connect. Yeah.
I think that that is the best takeaway of all. Very well said, Lindsay. Thank you. And thank you to Shiori for this question. This was a great one. And guys, remember to answer that poll on Spotify.
I'm so excited to see the results. I'm actually really excited
Me
about
too.
this poll, Michelle. All
Me
right, Michelle,
too.
we'll announce the results soon, and you have a good day. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
All right. Bye, Lindsay. Bye, guys.
Bye.